Agenda is approval of the minutes from September 21 meeting. Hopefully you've had a chance to see those. I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Move to approve.
I move.
Okay, it has been motioned and second.
You're second, dude.
Are there any questions, any corrections? If none, I'll proceed with the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The minutes from September 21 have been approved. Next item on the agenda is access permits. I believe the NDOT permits, Scott is going to present those.
Good afternoon. The summary for the permits, I believe, have been provided. There is not a lot of change from last month. A few extra notes as we go down the minor commercial at the Gothra family companies, just actively working through comments with the permittee. They have had some questions, and we've been progressing back and forth to help them move forward with that permit. As we move down to the active permits, comments have been sent back from the final inspection at the Newman Roundabout. At this time that I'm aware of, I don't think we've heard anything back or questions as to what our comments were, so I'm making the assumption all of that is moving forward. So I'll keep track to make sure that that is clear in getting that finalized. So the Speedway at Veterans Parkway, again, project delayed. No new information there. Field inspection for the Anvil 38 property is set for tomorrow. So from that inspection, then we will have comments to send back if there are any. Work is in progress for Yeager Road. A lot of progress, actually, and that looks good. No issues or concerns. For the Domino's property in Lafayette, there will be a field review tomorrow. I don't know that I have details to update. They'll be out to look at it to see if there's anything to either help with or report on. And the Love's Truck Stop, again, approved. I will take that off the list for next week or next month. And work continues with no issues at the Klondike Middle School. So everything is progressing nicely.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions before we move on? Thank you for that report. And the next item is amendment to the Transportation Improvement Program. And Doug will present those.
Red lights. I'll speak up. How about that? Can you hear me? Yep. Okay, we
So we need a motion to approve the amendment.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Been motioned and second. I believe Doug already gave space for questions, so I'll move on with the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The amendment is approved. All right. Next item on the agenda is the APC progress report, the MPO, and the 18-month letting list. Doug, I believe you have both of those for us.
Yes, I'll bring out my dog and ponies.
Okay, is that better? And then the other program, Protect program. The purpose of this program, which is basically named Promoting Resilient Operations for Transformative, Efficient, and Cost-Saving Transportation, is to help make surface transportation more resilient to natural hazards, including climate changes, sea level rise, flooding, extreme weather events, and other natural disasters, through support of planning activities, resilient improvements, community resilience, and evacuation routes, and at-risk coastal infrastructure. So now we do have some federal funds to actually look at how we can take what projects we have and make them more resilient to climate change. Again, one thinking that I had regarding this is that, again, for the Soldiers Home Road project with Veterans the Home, just north of this project, Soldiers Home Road would probably be an evacuation route if something did happen, so I could see use of these funds for that. So anyway, as I said, these new projects we're receiving more funds for, so whether we receive these amounts in the future or not, I don't know. My guess is we probably will. So we'll have to start thinking of our projects and including these elements so we can tap into these funds. So basically, that's just, in short, a summary of the changes that recently happened. Comments or questions?
Just to be clear, these are not new funds, right? They've just diverted them into different categories.
That is correct. You know, I wish we would have had the same amount for our STBG funds, but we may have to be creative a little in terms of looking at our projects now and then figuring out how we can pencil or use these funds. So we may have to have your help in doing that. So.
Thank you.
Sure. That's all I have on that. Regarding the next thing, the annual listing of projects. It's an annual report that we put together, we do every year. Again, we have another massive document. Of course, the requirements are basically just focused on federal funding, but we take this report one step further, or well, actually multiple steps further. And in the front, we have a summary of where not only our federal funds are being spent, but also local funding, and even include projects that you would see being discussed and brought forward in the Board of Works meetings and even in the County Commissioners meeting. In addition to the summary in front, we do have individual project sheets, as you see on the screen, for each project, information about it, specifically the road, where it's located, the agency, if it has a state ID number, contract number, what basically the ID number is the DES number. We specifically point out or mention if it has pedestrian or bicycle accommodations, and then details about what transpired during the state fiscal year. We actually have an aerial photo of it, and then also a timeline so you can see how long it takes from a project to actually start to actual construction. And then we provide photographs of each project. So it kind of gives the reader an idea of the project itself. At the very end, we do have a completed project section, basically giving the reader, okay, these projects were finished during the year. And it's kind of interesting where we have the information. We do provide, you know, what was the estimated completion date versus what was the actual completion date. So you kind of get an idea of when if it hit the target or if it didn't. So, and then again, we try our best to get before and after shots of the project so you can see what it looked like before. Sometimes we can't do that. We get projects that during construction, or I mean, some of these like bridge overlay projects, it's difficult to get out because they're so short in doing it that generally for those we only get the after construction. So, but anyway, the requirement was to get this done by September 30th. It was posted on our website September 15th, so we met that deadline. So I only have this one paper copy. If anybody would like a paper copy, I'd be more than glad to print them, but if you want to look at it, it is available online as all of our previous ones, I think back through 2006. So that's all I have on that.
All right. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to the next item, which is other business, and I believe Tim has something to share with us.
We still do have a couple more items. We have US Bike Route 37.
Yeah, unfortunately, as we have mentioned of recent, that we were hoping NDOT would submit the application to, or at least central office. So you're excluded. You're good. Submit the application to AASHTO for their review and hopefully their approval, but that did not happen. Unlike the other routes that have been approved, Bicycle Route 35, 35A, which is kind of like several offshoots, 36 and 50. NDOT, at least the central office, is doing or wanting a lot more for this route approval than they have in the past. And part of that is they want feedback from the district offices. The only office I've heard back feedback actually coming from is the Greenfield district. I know that request was sent out here 3 or 4 weeks ago. They also want a cyclist to actually ride either a portion of the route or the route to get a viewpoint from the cyclist if it's a good route or not. How NDOT is going to get this information, I don't know. I don't think they've thought that far, but seeing that we are in mid-October already, and I know generally next month I usually put away my bike for the year until like March. I don't know how that's going to be feasible, so we're going to have some discussion about that. And then, of course, they want a very robust public outreach or information for this. For the other routes, all they did was put out a press release, and that was it. But this time they want to put it out in multiple media outlets, multiple newspapers, multiple television. I mean, significantly more than what they've done in the past. Why these changes they want to see, I don't know. So at some point, we'll probably have requests, for example, letters of support, probably from this probably from this body, from the other bodies, probably from all the local governments. So we'll probably ask for those, maybe in another couple months. So anyway, the next step, right now we are gathering a bunch of information. We are planning on having a meeting with the office that handles the application, not only just the staff, but the manager of that department, and then also the manager over that manager, to actually pinpoint and say what is needed. So there is no moving the goalposts. That's what they're doing. We want to pin that down. So in essence, I think what's going to happen is that we are going to be the ones to start gathering some of this information to put it out, to put it forward so we can actually get the application, or at least what NDOT central office wants to move forward on the application. So basically, we're going to have to do more work to get it done. So I'm sorry to say that. But anyway, I think it's a good project.
Do you have a contact in the district that you are working with, or a name that is part of that?
Brandon, the bike and ped coordinator in under Jay Mitchell's office. Yep. He told me several weeks ago that he reached out to Bill and Tim and asked them for their review. Now, he did not say if they reviewed it or if they did, what their comments were. But that's one thing we are going to talk about in terms of, do we need to set up a meeting with the district offices and then discuss the route, discuss comments and questions, because we do have a lot of information already in our office. So,
Yep.
I have a feeling we're going to be doing that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions or comments? And the last thing I have on here for the MPO update is the new tip. As I mentioned or alluded to previously, I did send out the call for projects earlier today, specifically those for road projects, a bunch of attachments. And if you have any issues filling those out or need help, please feel free to contact me. Already sat down with the city bus staff and had a discussion with them earlier today about their project submittal, and we'll need to talk about airport projects too. So, so if we could talk about that afterwards, that'd be great. Again, this is another tight time deadline because of central offices' request. They would like to have our draft tips done by mid-February, basically, so they can review it along with FHWA. Excuse me. They are wanting to, of course, get a new STIP developed by July, is my impression. So in order to do that, we have to have our TIPs basically approved in May. So whether that happens on the NDOT side with their STIP approval, that'd be great if that happened, but we are pushing forward, and it's very doable. This is basically the same timeline that we have had for the last several TIPs. So that's why we have a December 9th deadline, which we need all of this project information back, because then we start the public notification process. So, questions or comments? Okay, and then I'll go over the next thing, the 18-month letting list. Copy was provided in your packet. The first two projects were on a 914 letting, and the information is on the second sheet, or the bid letting results. The engineer's estimate was a little over $940,000, 3 bids submitted. Project was awarded to Pacific Painting for a little over $600,000, so that's kind of a head scratcher. But anyway, the contract completion date is October 1st of 2023. Going back and looking at the first page, projects 3 and 6 have a November 16th bid letting. Unfortunately, something happened to project number 6. It's not showing up on the bid letting anymore, so I'm going to have to do some more in-depth digging on what's going on with that project. It completely dropped off. Looking down the list, project 10 and 11, project 10, the McCutcheon project, or the safety project, moved from a November to a December letting. And then the following district-wide traffic signal modernization moved from a December to January letting. As you know, Yeager Road follows that with a January letting as well. Looking further down, another change, State Road 28 repair replace joints. That moved from a February to April letting, and we have one new project under that. I haven't been able to find too much information on it. It is not currently programmed in the TIP, so that will need to be added in. On the second page, project 25 and 26, again, 2 local projects on 11/15/23 bid letting, the Phase 1 of Morehouse Road, and then a month later, Bridge 527, the replacement project. So in a nutshell, that is what's on NDOT's 18-month bid letting list. Questions or comments? Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we move on to other business, and Tim.
Yes, so this is something that is hot off the presses. We just got this information today. So at last week's policy board meeting, there was a request of the Crawfordsville District to provide an update on the Teal Road project. So we got that from the District Deputy Commissioner today. So I'm just going to go ahead and read what he said. Some of you may have seen this, but just in case you haven't seen it, and also kind of for the record in the stream, I'm going to go ahead and go through this. So the goal for this construction year is to complete our current temporary traffic phasing and shift traffic over to the new pavement before winter. Utilities are in the right-of-way and delaying us east of 4th Street. There are multiple utility conflicts at 22nd Street and 26th Street that should be resolved next year. The contractor will add temporary pavement to the northern approaches at these intersections so they are usable over the winter. The current schedule has us resurfacing this week with asphalt between 18th Street and 30th Street within our closure. Miller Pipeline is currently relocating Center Point's gas main between 9th Street and 18th Street. They should be completed in 2 weeks. After that, we have full-depth patching, subgrade work, pavement widening, culvert installation, and curbs to install from the fairgrounds to 9th Street before we can complete the paving between 18th and 9th Street this season. The contractor is currently working to complete the Northern Pipe Company pipes between 9th Street and 4th Street. Once these are finished, sidewalk installation and regrading work will start. Both retaining walls have been constructed, and the heavy-duty shoulder work should be completed soon. The shoulder pavement currently being used between 4th Street and the Railroad Bridge near Windy Hill is deteriorated, and it won't last through this winter without patching. The plan is to shift traffic to the west once the heavy-duty shoulder work and handrail work at the retaining wall is complete, so that traffic doesn't cause further deterioration to the pavement coming down the hill towards 4th Street. South of the railroad on Old US 231 and west towards State Road 25, the contractor is working to complete the sidewalks, ADA ramps, grading, and reseeding. This area is closest to being Phase 1 complete. When completed, traffic can swap to Phase 2 of the maintenance of traffic. The original schedule for this year had the contractor continuing their work into Phase 2 for this section at the tail end of the year, and they are on target to do so. The contractor should have all their drainage pipes, pavement widening, and curbs in before the end of the year on the west end of the job. The 4th Street intersection work is planned to start June 2023 with a closure period of up to 60 days. So we got a lot of really good information, so thank you to Shane for passing that along. I don't suppose I can really answer any questions, but if anyone does have any questions, I'm happy to pass them along to Shane.
All right, thank you. If there is no other new business that anyone has to bring in, we have the moment for citizen comments. I don't believe we have anyone planning to make any comments. Therefore, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion approved. I believe I got everyone there.
So we're voting right over here, and we're using that room, and we're hearing everything you're saying in pretty good volume. So if there's something you can do about that, that would be great. If there's nothing you can do about that, we'll just go with the flow.
We're just about to adjourn.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Sorry for interrupting.
All right. We are streaming these meetings, so it is probably worth reminding everyone that anyone from the public wishing to make a public comment will have to attend the meetings in person. I just want to say that for the live stream. I call this meeting adjourned.